I kind of sent this to you figuring you would hate it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It changed, honestly, like it changed the trajectory of my life. I grew up listening to like to Hot Topic emo. So like I wasn't exposed to like a lot of like anything that was like remotely a little more experimental or like edgy or like pushing the envelope in terms of like what, like what the genre can do.
So this is my first listen.
You're like,
it.
I hate this song.
Okay. The Emo Social Club, we're on a journey to like things, to find new things, to enjoy new music, to enjoy music that a lot of other people enjoy, and we are here to learn. We are sitting our ass down and listening. I'm Brian, and I'm joined here today by Meredith from the band Latter.
Hi.
Chicago hardcore, Chicago noisecore.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever genre.
Yeah, noise rock, post-hardcore. Whatever you want to call us.
Very good band is what I'll say. And Meredith is here to teach me about a band called Pile.
Yes.
This is another episode of Make Me a Fan, where Meredith has picked 5 songs that I have listened to, and we are going to talk about these 5 songs that could make anybody a fan of the band Pile.
I kind of sent this to you figuring you would hate it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into that. But before we start talking about the band Pile, Meredith, tell us a little bit more about Ladder. Tell us a bit more about your band, what you got coming up.
Sure. So yeah, I play in Ladder. We are like a 2-piece noise rock band, but we play with some other people. We started pretty recently, but things have kind of been picking up speed a lot because we went viral on Instagram. And then we have new music coming out pretty soon. And then we're going to go on tour in the summer, but we're still finishing it.
If you DM me, I will send you the EP.
Oh, my God.
Maybe.
Wow. True. You said you wouldn't leak it.
I lied. It's very good. Your music is very good.
Thank you.
So that's the reason I want to leak it to everybody.
Okay. Real.
Because fuck it.
I feel pretty confident in it. I'm like, I think this is good. So I have sent it to people, but it's not ready for the world yet.
All right. Well, now we've heard about your band. You picked this band. You picked Pile to talk about today.
I picked Pile or another band.
Yeah.
And you picked this band because of the algorithm.
Yes. Pile is a much easier name for YouTube than prostitute.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And your background is more in this I guess I would say indie post-hardcore, more underground noise vibe. I saw a lot of things saying like this band had some like noise and experimental influence there. So why did you pick this band? What's your background with Pile?
Yeah, so I picked Pile because they have a really big influence on like who I am as a musician, I think. So I first was introduced to Pile in I before I lived in Chicago, I lived in Philadelphia, and I was like really involved in the Philadelphia DIY scene there. And Pile was from Boston and kind of like coming up around that time. Like this was like, I don't know, like 2014 to 2017-ish area. My bandmate at the time introduced me to them and was like, you should listen to this. And I had seen them once. It's funny because I had seen them at like a skate park or something before I started playing music. And I wasn't paying attention. I think I was just drunk. And I was like, I think I was just wasted and like yelling. And but then I started playing music and I listened to them and I was like, it changed. Honestly, like it changed the trajectory of my life. Like for me, like before I listened to Pile, I kind of had like a limited amount of like ideas as to like what my music could sound like. Like I think I was very like boxed into being like, oh, like I'm going to be in like a feminist like Riot Girl type band or something like that. And then I heard Pile, and like when I heard Pile, I was like, they're just doing whatever they want. Like they're not like there's no like traditional song structure is out the window. I have no idea what chords they're playing. Like I have no idea what's going on, and I love it. Like I just like there's so much like experimentation in their music, but it's also still like kind of catchy and like has, it has like, it's not full blown experimental. It's not like atonal music. Like you can listen to it. It's like still like very like indie, like indie punk vibes things. And I just feel like Pile was really kind of the first time where I realized like, oh, I can do whatever I want with music. This is cool. I can, the possibilities are endless.
Now, this is a band I've never heard before.
That is surprising to me.
Yeah. This is not necessarily the scene that I've been very acquainted with. We have emo credentials, both of us. There is a Gerard Way shrine built up behind you that I just put up today. I tend to go more for very approachable, very pop-oriented, pop song structures, mainstream stuff. That is, I tend to be more into earwormy stuff where like I'm singing along the choruses. And a lot of these more experimental bands don't really hit my radar out of just, I think a lot of bands like this just tend to be found either by going to local like DIY spaces or shows, or like they have so much of a career within their space that they're like a well-known entity, and I'm just not around a lot of that.
I think at one point they're like their nickname was like your favorite band's favorite band.
Yeah.
And like I feel like most people like in the DIY scene, like everyone loves Pile.
Yeah. My test of like, let me see what's going on here was I looked up Fantano reviews of this.
Of Pile.
And he did 2 of the records. I watched them very briefly, but he did 2 of the records. But it was back in like, 2012 when Dripping. He did the review of Dripping, and this is a band that Fantano was into, and Fantano was excited about it. So I was like, okay, that makes sense to me. Like this is a guy who listens to a lot of different types of music, knows a lot of stuff, and like is obviously into and excited about a band like this.
Yeah.
And he hates all the bands that I love. So I'm like, yeah, this tracks.
Okay.
This makes sense.
Yeah. He would hate all of the bands you like.
But he also likes a lot of bands I like. So like,
What emo bands does he like?
He gave Black Parade a really good review.
Did he?
Yeah. I don't necessarily agree with his review on Black Parade.
It's not my favorite MCR.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think he would like 3 Cheers if he's ever reviewed it.
To me, that's their best record.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. That's why that shrine is mostly 3 Cheers
based. It's their best record. Yeah.
It just straight up is. I remember he kind of dug 21 Pilots too. That really surprised me.
I've never heard a song by them.
This has turned into make me a fan of 21 Pilots. Meredith will listen to 5 songs.
No.
God, no. I don't want to get yelled at by the internet. Pile seems like a safe band because I assume the fans are not like worried about somebody not liking Pile on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't think anyone cares. Yeah.
But since I am learning this for the first time, since this is the first experience I have with them, I did pull up a brief history of them for anybody who doesn't know about this band like me to learn a little bit more. And you can correct me on anything I get wrong.
I may not know.
That's fine. Then this is the misinformation section of the podcast. And YouTube can put a little note under this like, hey, everything he said he was wrong and incorrect. And I won't look it up. So that's what it is. Pile was not originally a full band. It was a solo project of frontman Rick McGuire that he started in Boston around 2007. The early sound was much more lo-fi, experimental, and touched on folk and jagged indie rock. His first self-released early works were Demonstration in 2007 and Jerk Routine in 2009. I do like the name Jerk Routine for whatever humorous reason you want to think of it. I think it could be like, that guy's just a jerk and he's going around doing his routine.
Yeah, maybe.
Then in 2009, the project evolved into a collective, became an actual band. Key early members Chris Cuss on drums and Matt Connery joined. And guitarist Matt Becker was an early member from around 2008. They released their first full band album called Magic Isn't Real in 2010, which established their dark and noisy tones and helped them gain a devoted following in Boston's punk scene. I assume because Philly and the East Coast is a much more like easily navigated area of the country that like, when I think of like if a band is from Chicago, their audience is Chicago, maybe Milwaukee.
Yeah.
But like if a band starts in Boston, I'm assuming like from where you're located, you're like, yeah, we've heard of them and like we're aware.
It's very like permeable in that way where it's like, it's kind of just like, I see them as just like an East Coast band.
even if you're not directly in Boston, you're aware of a band from that general area.
Yeah.
Then they joined, well, I guess they get signed to Exploding in Sound Records, which has released the majority of their albums post this period. They signed in October of 2011 and then released their breakthrough album Dripping in 2012, which became a post-hardcore touchstone, praised for capturing their frenetic power of epic basement gigs.
That sounds about right.
It does sound like a DIY space band, a band that is from those areas.
Yeah, I mean, not anymore, but like they have like very like DIY roots.
Yeah. Which I think allows for a lot of that experimental sound that you're talking about, that it's like, we just do whatever we want. DIY and touring grind are core to their identity. They're known for a tireless work ethic. They built their dedicated fan base through relentless international touring, playing everything from headlining shows to festivals and supporting acts like the Jesus Lizard and Cursive, which as soon as I saw Cursive's name, curious.
You were like,
I love Cursive. And I think that by assuming that I wouldn't like this band, if I told you like, no, I'm really into Cursive, you would have been like, oh, then maybe you're okay with this. That's like the one band where I'm like, there's still a lot of like pop hookiness to it.
Yeah.
But it also has that very like weird.
It is weird.
Noisy and like, different movements and orchestrations and sounds and all that. But I do really like Cursive. They operated largely outside the mainstream, fostering a strong, loyal following. Then there were some changes in 2018 to 2019. Rick McGuire relocated from Boston to Nashville. That'll fuck you up.
Oh, yeah, that did happen. Yeah.
New members joined, including Alex Molini on bass and Chappie Hull on guitar, contributing to albums like Green and Gray, released in 2019. Original bassist Matt Connery later rejoined on guitar. It was in 2023. And then they are always experimenting, consistently pushing the sonic boundaries. Songs Known Together Alone, released in 2021, was reimagined older material as solo pieces. Then In the Corners of a Sphere-Filled Room in 2021, which is a fully improvisational album. All Fiction, I believe, was their last record they've released in 2023, which explored a more synth-focused and electronic experimentalism. And then they've recently signed to Chicago's Super Records for their upcoming album Sunshine and Balance Beams, which is due this year in August. So a long career.
They've been around forever.
Yeah. Which, we'll get into a little bit of the sound that they have. But for me, it had like a lot of 90s aesthetics in the sound.
Oh, yeah.
So I would have, if I had not looked any of this information up, I would have assumed this was a band from like the late 90s, like sort of in that alternative era.
Yeah.
And then they've just been around ever since. I would also assume it's a band that's gone through a lot more lineup changes than they have, just out of like being a lead singer who writes most of the stuff and then having just other guys that show up and play with him.
Yeah.
Sounds like he's a prolific songwriter, has a lot of talent
they have
himself.
so many songs. Yeah. And he does a lot. I think he does like a lot of solo stuff too. Yeah. It was like back in the day, like my dream was to like open for Pyle. That was like, I was like, I'll quit after I open for
Once
Pyle.
that happens, we're done.
Yeah, I was like, once that like, and that was like pre-Ladder. I was like, now like if Ladder opened for Pyle, I would be like, whoa, that's fucking sick. But like, I would want to still keep going.
But I'm gonna keep going.
Back then, like that was like my one goal.
Yeah,
it was like if we could just, I was like, I would just want to open for Pyle, and I would like email like all of the booking agents of all of the bands and I would email like all the promoters, and my band would have like 10 monthly listeners, and I'd be like, please, can we open?
Here's the thing, that might work. That still might help.
I mean, you might as well shoot your shot.
Yeah. No one's ever gotten a tour because they didn't shoot their shot,
Every day I just wake up and shoot my shot.
Yeah. You miss 100% of the shoots you don't shot.
So true.
Shots you don't shoot.
So true.
Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. So that's some background. If you, like me, have never heard of this band, hopefully that gets you interested in the songs that you've picked.
Meredith's Pyle picks.
Yeah, the Pyle picks. So we're going to run through those songs, and hopefully by the end of this, I've become a fan. The first song you picked was their biggest, most well-known song. In an underground band, it's hard to say that it's like their biggest song.
Which one was this?
This was Baby Boy.
I think that this is probably not their most famous song, but it's like top 2 or 3, I'd say.
When I looked at it, this was the first song off Dripping.
Yeah.
Which to me is like, okay,
That
it's
was
the
like
first
their
song off their
breakthrough
breakthrough album. Like,
Yeah.
obviously that one is going to be a well-known song because it's like, it's the first one I heard from their most like well-known breakthrough album. So, you know, it's the one that they're like, we can close shows with this one.
Yeah, I think
and everybody will know it.
They like I feel like when they play this song, it's like usually like in the beginning or the end. This was the first Pile song I ever heard. And I was like, this is amazing. I've never heard anything like this in my life. I don't know. Like maybe also like I grew up like you have to understand like I grew up listening like because people would be like that's so weird that you've never heard like anything even remotely experimental. No, I grew up listening to mall emo. So like
yes.
So I grew up listening to like to Hot Topic emo. So like I wasn't exposed to like a lot of like anything that was like remotely a little more experimental or like edgy or like pushing the envelope in terms of like what, you know, like what the genre can do. So I think it was like 2014 when I heard this song and I was listening to other music at that time besides mall emo, but still like, you know, I was getting into like a lot of like indie, like Wilco and shit like that. And I was getting really into like old metal, like Black Sabbath and like blues. Cause I was starting to learn how to play the guitar. So I was listening to a lot of that, but then I heard this song and I was like, this is weird. Like, I have no idea what's happening and I love it.
So this is my first listen
You're
to
like,
it.
I hate this song.
Okay, let's just put this out there.
Okay.
I liked this for the most part.
Okay.
This song in particular, I can see why it became a popular track. I can see why this is a bit of a breakthrough for them because I feel like of the songs you sent me, this is the one that has the most like prominent like vocals to it.
Yeah.
It's very easy to understand the words that are being said and like the theme of the song. And I think that that's one of the reasons why this one stands out probably to most people when they hear it.
Yeah.
I'm going to probably mention this a few times, but one of my favorite bands from high school was Silverchair. And Silverchair was like a grunge band from the late 90s. And then we're like, we're going to do whatever we want and be very experimental and made a like basically theater musical album.
Okay.
That has like some grungy guitars in it, but mostly it's just like, oh, we're just going to play only harpsichord for this song and just have like strings and all this shit in the background.
Yeah.
And I was like, this might be one of the greatest albums I've ever listened to. And it's not. It's very disjointed, but I still love it. And this reminded me a lot of that kind of sound. Like there is just, I think that when you call a song theatrical, usually people are saying, yeah, there's a lot of theater in this, but I think that people call music theatrical, not because it has like all of these, like what you would hear from an orchestra. It's more like because it doesn't do the normal changes you would expect to hear. It does like I would expect a lot of parts to move this way and they're like, no, we're going this way instead. Yeah. And so it felt like I would expect them to move in the more pop sense. And they were like, no, we're not doing that. We're doing this instead.
Yeah.
And it like caught me off guard in the way that I'm like, oh, I'm paying attention now.
Yeah.
And so I kind of dug that from this one of just like, oh, this one has some more of those pop sensibilities. The mixing is really good where I can understand the vocals, and I'll get to that with some of the other ones. But yeah, it had that like exciting, interesting pieces to it where like I could understand why somebody would hear this song and go, yeah, okay, I want to listen to the rest of this record, or I want to check out what else this band has.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, that was the gateway song for me.
Yeah.
I was like, this song fucks. I was like, I fuck with this song hard. I was like 25. And I was like learning Bikini Kill songs. And then I heard this and I was like, holy shit.
You can just do that.
I was like, wow, you literally can just do whatever you want.
Every musician has that band where they're like, holy shit, you can just do that.
Yeah. I think for me, it was Pile.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was like, like Pile. I was like, wow, I literally, like, it doesn't have to be verse, chorus.
Yeah.
Verse, chorus. Like, it can be literally anything.
This one I also felt did have a chorus to it.
It does. Does have a chorus.
Not all the songs you sent me do, but this one definitely.
Has
that feeling to it.
Yeah.
The second song I asked you for was your favorite track by Pile, which you gave me the song Fingers.
Yes. I was like, Brian will not like this song.
Can always find a
I liked it.
Okay.
I liked it.
Okay.
Tell me why this is your favorite song.
It's crazy. Like it's just so insane. Like there's just this one part where it's like I feel like it's just like a relentless wave of riffs. like I just there's this one part where it's like new and it's so sick. It's like I feel like you lose track of what's happening.
Yes.
And I love that. Yeah.
There's a lot of guitar in this one. This is the last song off of their album, which has a weird name to it.
A Hairshirt of Purpose.
A Hairshirt of Purpose.
That's my favorite Pile album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which you gave me 2 songs off that record.
It's my favorite. I don't think it's their most popular one, but it is my favorite one.
It was one of the ones that came up when I was looking this up.
Okay.
Dripping being their breakout one, and then the other 2 songs you gave me are like from the same record too.
One of the older ones.
Here. Yeah. And then 2 from Hairshirt, and I was like, okay, this seems to be the one that like most recommended.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like this record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that you sent that your favorite was the last song on it, because usually that's like the more like, it's like, is anyone going to get to this part of the album? You know?
Yeah.
Or like, is this going to be the least listened to song on this album? But then some bands are like, nah, that's where we put the heater. We like end it with a
That's where Ladder puts the heaters. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm like thinking back, I'm like, yeah, you always put the heater last. It's a gift.
It's a gift.
But also it's just everyone's on like shuffle on Spotify, so it doesn't really matter.
Now, yeah, and getting this playlist of 5 songs was like, okay, this now being the second song on this playlist that I'm listening to, but the last song on the album, put it in a different perspective for me.
Yeah. I think I just love it because it's just riffs, just endless riffs, just so many riffs, and it's weird, and I feel like it's weird and it's driving, and it's just like it's weird and it's riffy.
I liked this one probably the most of the ones you sent me to.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
You are surprising me today. Yeah.
I'm not a hater, okay?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, but not apparently for this. Like this, I actually kind of dug. This one reminded me the most of Silverchair. I think there's just a lot of like that weirdness in it, and the riffs, and like clearly there's a lot of energy here. Like I feel like, you know, this is a song that maybe you're writing in the studio, but you're really excited to like play it live and like have that sort of wall of sound with an audience.
I heard this live once, and it was so good.
Yeah.
I was like crying. I was like, it's so good, so many riffs.
So many riffs.
Yeah, like the riffs are crazy. Yeah.
Do they only have 2 guitarists in the band?
I think so. I think like one day I just looked up like whatever tunings they were in, and I just like, now it's like the only tunings that I play in. I'm like, okay, I'm only playing in that.
Copying this.
Them and Chat Pile, yeah. Like when we first started Ladder, I was like, we should just find out what tunings Chat Pile and Pile. We're heavy pile bands here.
Heavy pile.
Anything with the word pile in it, I'm in. Yeah, I'm in.
Let's check out this new band called Pile and Pile.
Pile, yeah. Anything with pile, yeah.
But yeah, I like this one. I thought it had a lot of good energy, a lot of like there's songs that are like the pop structure that you can sing along to, but I also really like songs that are just like loud and weird and aggressive, and like, you know, I as much as I like the mall emo shit, I also do love metal, and I love heavy things. I love hardcore. I love angry things. I love stuff that like is there to sort of make you pay attention, and like it's not just from beginning to end. You're just like kind of like taken through that. It's like, no, we're gonna surprise you and shock you, and like have these highs and these lows in the same song. And this one to me had a lot of that, and it kept my interest the whole way through.
Wow, I'm shocked. I really am. I was like, literally, like when I was like, I was like, Brian's gonna hate this song. I was like,
no, loved it.
Okay.
The third song you sent me was one that I asked you that you thought I would like the most.
Which one was that?
That was Mr. Fish.
My name is Daryl Fish, and I changed when I turned 21.
Oh yeah, I was like, I don't know. Brian might like the narrative.
I Okay, so I did.
Oh yeah, I was like that was my reasoning. Like
Yeah.
I was like Brian seems like a narrative. Like he like seems like someone who likes narrative. And like I'm like, and this like song like has a big like it's like a story about this like person that you know, that Mr. Fish, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe Brian will like this. I didn't think about this one too hard, honestly.
You said in the text maybe Mr. Fish, and then I looked up maybe Mr. Fish was the title of it. And I couldn't
I was
find
like,
anything.
maybe.
I was like, oh wait, no, it's just called Mr. Fish. I did. I think that I'm very much noticing lyrics nowadays. I've been listening to a lot of new music and a lot of music that I've just never come around to, and I'm very much noticing how like boring a lot of lyrics are in a lot of the music that I love. I love it, but it is not, it's not the most well-written poetry of music, right? It just...
Usually not. Sometimes.
I need everyone to revisit My Chemical Romance lyrics and be like, is this good or is he just...
I have a hot take on that.
Give it.
Not on the record.
Okay,
well, I just feel like I think the lyrics for the first two albums are better than...
I agree.
Yeah, like I think Three Cheers lyrics are really good.
Now, Three Cheers was mostly written based on the comic book Preacher.
Oh, I didn't know.
It's like his own story based off the comic book Preacher.
Okay.
There's a lot of different pieces of media that he was consuming that he kind of wrote songs based on.
Okay.
And then I listened to some of the music from like Black Parade and maybe a little Danger Days. I think Danger Days is a great record, so I have nothing bad to say about it.
Yeah.
Love that record. It's like glam rock. It's like,
of course you do.
Make glam rock in 2012. I'm in.
Someone called it my ex-boyfriend called it the Six Flags MCR album. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly.
MCR is a Disney remake.
Yeah. Like it's literally their Six Flags album. Like,
I love it.
Yeah.
It's of the four records of one of the greatest bands of all time. It is their second best record.
That's not true. That's not true. Yeah.
Bullets is not that good. Go back and listen to Bullets. It's not that good.
Not true. Okay.
Ooh, shoosh. This is gonna be the hardest take on this conversation about Pile is gonna be on My Chemical Romance.
It's just about My Chemical. Yeah. It's impossible for me to go anywhere and not talk about My Chemical Romance. Like I'm pretty sure every interview I've ever done in any band I've ever been in, I bring up My Chemical Romance.
It's impossible not to.
Because it's like they're like my biggest influence.
Yeah.
In like life.
Like
yeah.
They're a band that also has, I assume, a lot of inspiration from bands like this. Like maybe not Gerard directly, but certainly like when you're describing like the narrative of it, I'm like, there are movements. There's like the music matches what the lyrics are doing. It matches.
Yeah.
Obviously the vocals are matching up with everything, but it like feels like he has like a vision for each song, and it's not just like I wrote some words and here you go.
Yeah.
It feels like he is not only writing theatrically, but also like the lyrics are matching along with that too.
Yeah.
So I do like that, and I do feel like maybe a lot of the bands we listen to don't really think that way. And it's like, I just need to fill the words and the spaces with words, and maybe it's good, but maybe Famous Last Words doesn't really do that. That's all I'm saying.
Honestly, like, yeah. Like, I don't disagree with you.
Maybe
if my My Chemical Romance friends listen to this, they're going to be really mad at me. They're going to be like, you said a bad thing.
They've already seen me be anything that isn't 100% positive. I'm confident because those... me talking anything not like you are completely glazing My Chemical Romance, people have seen and they have said, you couldn't be more wrong, and here's my essay. It's like, okay, man, but you can go and sing Famous Last Words at a concert and you can have fine time. Well, I guess now you can because they are doing it. And you'll have a fine time. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be the greatest song in the world. I think we can all agree Teenager's bad song.
Yeah, it's not very good.
And no one out there is going to say anything besides that. Everyone knows that.
It's not very good.
Yeah. Teenager scared the living shit out of me. And what does it mean?
It means nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does it mean in the context of the greater opera story that they're trying to tell with that album?
No, that song's just like has nothing to do with the story.
12-bar blues.
Yeah.
Pop song.
It's fine.
2.5 minutes. Fine.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be good.
Yeah. It's not good.
My Chemical Romance doesn't have to be good.
Yes.
Is I think the main takeaway.
Yeah.
They're selling out a world tour. They don't have to be good.
Right. It doesn't matter. They literally could put out the shittiest music of all time and everyone would love it.
The song is
including
called
me.
Foundations of Decay.
I love that song. Shut up. That song
fucking
is
bad.
No, it's not. It's good. That song is good. No, you are once again wrong. That song is good.
I think what's best for us in the year 2021. Well, because
When did that song? Oh,
that
song
song
came
came out
out
in 2021.
2021.
I think the best thing for My Chemical Romance making new music in 2021 is interpolating Dream On by Aerosmith. That's the best thing we can possibly do.
True. Well,
Am I wrong?
I
Am I
love that.
wrong?
I love that song. So
Listen, I'm not.
I love that song.
I take nothing away from anybody,
It's a really good song.
but
It grew on me. I didn't like it at first. I was like, this song sucks. And I was like, but then I listened to it again and I was like, this song's okay. And then I listened to it again and I was like, I fuck with this song.
I think maybe.
I think the lyrics are good. Cause he says like it's really good. I feel like it's really good lyrics about getting older.
Yeah.
Like when he says like, let the flesh submit itself to gravity. That's a good line. That's a good line.
Has
Yeah.
some good lines.
Yeah.
Now his vocals are very buried in that mix.
Yeah.
There's a lot more.
It's clear that he listens to noise music.
Right. Which is
Yeah.
why I would also say that might be the song that is the most inspired by a band like Pile or like this sort of
Yeah.
genre where it is leaning more experimental.
It is more
It is
experimental. Yeah.
not doing what you would expect from a band like My Chemical Romance, which might be why I'm like, it's not for me.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I also am like, the most My Chemical Romance thing you can do is basically take guitar parts from other songs and put them into emo music.
Yeah.
Because that's all Black Parade is.
Yeah.
What if we did Queen?
What if we were Queen? But
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, well, fine. What if we were Cheap Trick? Okay.
Yeah.
What if we were Pink Floyd? Okay, but why not be My Chemical Romance?
They were like, no.
Yeah. And so now we're like, what if we were Aerosmith? And it's like, oh my God. Stop being Aerosmith. You're My Chemical fucking Romance.
That's real. Well, I like that song.
Well, I like Mr. Fish. Thought it was good.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Bring us back to the.
You were like song, I think, because I was like, I don't know, like this gives like, I'm like, I don't know, like Brian strikes me as someone who maybe like likes like classic coming of age, like literature about like young men's lives. Like, you know what I mean? Like you strike me as someone who read Catcher in the Rye and liked it.
I never read Catcher in the Rye.
Okay. Well, that's why I picked Mr. Fish. I was like,
it was never assigned to me. So
okay, you strike me as someone who likes Kurt Vonnegut.
Never read Kurt Vonnegut.
Okay. Well, I
my immediate thought of this was that it was going to make me think of Big Fish.
Okay.
And
that seems like something you would like.
I do love Big
Yeah,
Fish.
okay.
As a Tim Burton.
Yeah, I'm like, that tracks. Yeah.
Yeah, as the most.
It's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's maybe Tim Burton's best.
Yep.
His
I-
shit maybe not as good as his one movie that he made about his father. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good movie. Yeah.
I don't think the song had anything to do with that, but it did give me
No.
that. I like the lyricism. I like the story. I like the theater to it all. I think that's one of the best things about this band is like their lyrics are quite
Pretty good. Yeah, pretty
quite
good. Yeah.
The next song you sent me was Appendicitis.
Now the shell I could sell and swore that I can't always hide it.
Yeah, what was
This was just a random one.
random one.
Yeah. So why did you pick this one?
This is not my favorite, like one of my favorite Pile songs musically, but okay, so there's just this one line in it. It's the first line, like it's just like the song opens and he just says like there were times when I wanted it so bad I made it hurt. And like I just feel like as anyone who's like essentially a workaholic and like, you know, and like very much like is very like dedicated to like what they're doing and what they're pursuing and is like really doing whatever it takes. Like that really hit me.
Yeah.
And I think like I remember like when I was playing music in Philly, and I quit and I like was like, I'm done. I'm giving up on my dream of being a musician that I've had since I was 7. I listened to this song a lot and I cried a lot. I was just like on the floor crying, like just to that one line and like restarting it over and over again. Cause it's like, I think I think especially back then, like I think I was younger back then and I, hadn't been through like nearly as much therapy as I've been through now. And I think like I became someone that I didn't like back then. Like I think I think like when I was done with music in Philly, like I kind of looked at myself in the mirror and like I didn't like who I was. I was like, I'm kind of a bitch, and I was like, but I'm like not actually a bitch, but like I was like I became a bitch through all of this. And so that line like just kind of like stabs me in the chest. Yeah.
Yeah, when I asked you for a band too, I was like, is this band going to be emo? And yes, it is going to be emo.
Well, like I'm emo. So,
right.
Yeah. So
like there's no way she's going to pick a band that isn't emo. And
yeah,
this was the one where it's like, oh yeah. This was the only one that I was like, okay, this is too long.
Yeah, it is a really long song.
And like it was hard to tell if that last part at the end was supposed to be a part of like this song.
I think it's like two songs in one.
Yeah, so it like combines like this like sort of in the background like sound, and then it's like, okay, we're just gonna jam out for a minute on this. And like, this band does seem like, whatever we put on the album, that's the album it's supposed to be. Obviously not listening to the full record from front to back, I'm like, I don't know, could make sense in the bigger picture there, but I had no idea because I only heard this song, so I was like, I think I can skip this part. I don't think I'm gonna.
It's just that one line.
Yeah.
I feel like it's worth it just for that one line. It's just like, I don't know, like as I feel like it's just like a very like relatable feeling to anyone who like has a lot of ambition.
This one also was very instrumentally driven.
Yeah.
So as like somebody who's looking for more lyrics and more vocals, like there wasn't a lot of it on there. Now I will also say this: it had reminiscent of Weezer vibes in this.
Okay.
And that one riff sounds like El Scorcho.
Okay. I don't know that song.
That could be a good or bad thing depending on how you feel about the Pink album.
I've
or
never
Pinkerton,
heard it.
I mean.
Yeah.
You should, okay, we're switching this over to make me a fan of Weezer.
No. No.
They're a great band. They got a lot of guy fans.
Yeah, it's true.
They also have a lot of women fans, and there's a lot of songs that are not very pro-woman on their first two albums.
I mean, they wouldn't be the first.
They would not.
Like Census Fail. They have a lot of women fans too. I'm one of them.
The last song you sent me, Hissing for Peace. Off of Hairshirt as well.
Oh, yeah.
This was another random choice. Why did you pick this song?
I just like it. I was like, this song goes hard. It's the one that's like, it opens with like the drumsticks.
Yeah.
Same thing, just like weird driving song.
Yeah, I clicked around on this album a little bit.
Yeah.
And I heard like a very similar, it happens on Fingers too. There's a very similar like rhythmic quality to like intros on this.
They have like motifs.
Yeah. That definitely got me interested in listening to the record as a whole package and being like, okay, what are the motifs? Like what's happening here as an album package? So that when I listen to a song, a lot of bands don't write songs to be listened to in this format of like, hey, check out this song by them. It's like, this might be an album band, which is, I think, a good thing. I think albums as like a whole package, especially with a more theatrical or a more like bigger idea band, like this makes more sense as an album versus like listen to this one song. But I liked it. I like this one.
I like this one. I don't know. I was just trying to think of another Pile song I really like, and I was like, I like this one.
Yeah.
I was like, it goes hard. It's got like the, and then it's got the, it's got everything I like.
Yeah.
It's you know what I mean? It's got riffs. It's got yelling. It's got like weird drumstick patterns. What more could I ask for? You know?
It definitely had that energy. The beginning, because this song kind of has two different parts to it. This one reminded me more of Cursive than the other ones, where it is just like, here's one section and here's a second section, and never the twain shall we return.
Yeah.
We're just gonna do one part and then another part. And 3 minutes, it's like, let's just get in, do this for 2 minutes, and then do 1 minute
like
of this other
A, B,
thing.
C, D, E, F, G.
Yeah, which I mean, it interested me of like, okay, what is happening here? There's no chorus. There's not just, here's this section and then this section. I did like the second bit a bit more. The first part felt a little bit more too vibey for me, but I say that in not a negative way, just that it was like, oh, this is like, I got to pay attention here. And maybe I'm not like the most paying attention at all moments, but the second part was like, oh, okay, here we go. Like, it opens up. There's more like vocal clarity. Like the mix is like, you can hear his vocals, you can hear the lyrics. And then the guitar riffs, a lot of riffs in this band.
So many riffs.
Good riffs.
So I think I was just like, I love riffs and weird tunings. And I was like, yeah, I mean, Pile changed my life. So when you were like, make me a fan, I was like, I mean, they're not like the flashiest band, but I'm like, but this is an important band to me.
I listened to all these songs. I gave it a few listens. Usually, sometimes it's like one listen. I'm like, all right, here's my immediate thoughts on this. But I gave us a couple listens because there's definitely a lot more to get out of these tracks.
Yeah.
It's not a band. I think this is the kind of band you have to be ready to listen and ready to pay attention.
It's not really like passive listening.
I felt like with a couple of the songs, I did feel myself sort of like, I'm going to focus over here. And like, no, like we're paying attention right now. You have to like listen to this. It's not something to throw on while you're like doing the laundry. It's something to throw on when you're like, I want to listen to music.
Yeah.
I want to hear something that might, change my brain chemistry a little bit.
Yeah.
Or something. This definitely feels like a band that is creating art.
Yeah.
It's a band that has meaning behind the reason they're creating music. They're not just like, here's a pop hook or here's a chorus because we wanted to write a chorus. When there is that, it's there for a reason. So definitely when it hits more of that pop sensibility or pop music, I'm like, oh yeah, hell yeah, this band's great.
Yeah.
Other times I was like kind of getting a little bit lost in just the instrumentation and how things were how the music was happening around me, and I had to pull myself back in. But I like it. I definitely,
you're a fan.
I will maybe
so you're
visit this as a full album. Like I might listen to a full album of this. I would say that the general vibe, the general sound of it is something that I enjoyed. I don't know if this is the kind of band as somebody who listens to more like poppy shit would like be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna listen to that band.
Yeah, like,
but
let me put on Pile.
yeah. I think there's a lot of bands that are like bands, like you mentioned. Your favorite band's favorite band.
I feel like most of their fans are probably musicians.
This is like the Chapel Roan of underground indie stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
This sounds just like Chapel Roan.
Exactly like her.
If you're a fan of Chapel Roan, you would love Pile.
Yeah, pretty much.
In trying to listen to more bands that are doing something interesting with lyrics, this is a good band for a lot of bands to listen to and be like, how do I want to make lyrics to a song?
Yeah.
A lot of bands should be listening to this band and just be like, oh, I get how, this works. I should write lyrics like this.
Yeah.
And try that.
Like just some thought.
Just some thought behind it. Stories. And, if anybody was to visit this band and listen to this band, why should they become a fan of them?
Because they will like open your ears to maybe some ideas that you didn't think before. Like maybe like if you're you're a musician and you listen to emo music or whatever, you could listen to Pile and be like, wow, there's other things I can do.
It's emo adjacent.
Yeah,
there's a lot
I
of
would
stuff
say
that is
so.
emo.
Yeah, I would say it's emo adjacent.
Yeah, but I do think that it creates an interesting space between what we're used to with emo and then sort of like bands that we love and maybe where they got some inspiration.
Yeah.
I think that it has a lot of good stuff here, especially if you are a musician, to listen to. And I think that a lot of bands probably were inspired by this. And if you love those bands, you should listen to this band.
Oh, yeah. I think a lot of bands now are like definitely trying to sound like Pile.
Yeah.
I think Ladder like sometimes does. Like we'll be like, I mean, it's like in my head, you know, but it doesn't necessarily translate. But like, I'm definitely like thinking, I'm always thinking about Pile.
I'm always thinking about
Pile, if you're watching this, I'm always thinking about you.
Is Pile hyper online?
No.
Now's the time.
Yeah.
Get on Instagram, Pile.
They are on Instagram,
Hell
but
yeah.
they're on TikTok too.
We're going viral with this
TikTok,
one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're breaking the internet with this one.
I'm probably one of the top like 10 biggest Pile fans, I'd say. Actually, my friend Luke is a bigger Pile fan than me. So maybe it's like top 20.
We got to get your numbers up.
Yeah, maybe like top 20. I'd say top 20. But I'm definitely in top 20, top 25.
Check that Spotify at the end of the year. Well, thank you for bringing Pile to my attention.
You're welcome.
Thank you for showing me this Pile. I enjoyed it. You should go listen to it. You should go check out the band Pile, and you should check out Ladder, who is also a very good band. They're definitely breaking the internet, and new record is in my DMs, and I will send it to you if you ask for it. So let me know if you want it. Happy to send it. Any parting words for the people?
He's not really going to send it. Yeah, he's not. So don't ask for it, please.
Out of respect,
Yeah.
I'm going to send it to everybody.
Okay. All right. I give in.
Thank you for checking this out. Go listen to Pile and Ladder. Goodbye.